Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you happen to be new here, my name's Dave, and today we are going to be covering a little bit about my LEGO investment journey. So this is going to be a new monthly series. For those of you who maybe watched a little bit of last year's footage, this will be similar, except I am expanding it. It is about my financials related to the business. So ScotsToys is a business that I run that primarily focuses around LEGO Resale, Bricklink store parts, and some general collectibles, and that's much of what this channel is about as well. Now, many people in the comments have asked, hey Dave, that's fantastic that you do such a great job at sharing all the things that you buy. But what about the profit? How does that side work? Now, last year, I did end up doing a series that a little bit monthly where I did share some of that, but it wasn't very consistent, and so I've kind of revamped my spreadsheet a little bit, and I've set a reminder so that I know to go in here and fill out this data on a monthly basis so that I can share all of the behind-the-scenes stuff with you. And that's what we're going to be doing today. I'm going to be bringing up my spreadsheet that I created to track my finances through the 2022 year. Now, today we're going to be going over January's numbers, and I know that you're seeing this in March, but I'm still recording this in February, and that's why I don't have February's numbers yet. But know that when we get to March, probably a little later on here in a couple weeks, you will end up seeing a February video as well, and hopefully I'll be able to catch up to where you end up seeing these videos, maybe a little bit more of a mid-month update for the previous month. Now, I don't want to ramble too much here before getting into the actual numbers, because theoretically that's what you're actually here for if you're still watching this video. But before I get into those, I do want to ask, if you haven't already, click on the like button below. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you are not already. We have been gaining a lot of subscribers, getting a lot of attention, and by you subscribing, that's what helps me to get more audience with other people that allows me to make all of this content and share my journey with all of you. Let's go ahead, bring up my spreadsheet, and share a little bit about my 2022 January financial numbers. Okay, so we are starting things off by reviewing my new fancy spreadsheet. Now, what I've done is I've broken down a few different areas of my business into multiple sheets. So down at the bottom here, I have Bricklink sales data for January, Amazon sales data for January, eBay sales data for January, and then other sales data for January. And that's because those are kind of the three primary platforms, and then kind of a lump all in case I get a Facebook or website-based sale. Maybe if one of those platforms end up growing more, I will create a separate sheet for those in addition. I do also have a Bricklink store status, and that's going to give us an opportunity to kind of review from the Bricklink perspective, kind of how many items and lots of the different types that I have in there. That might be some interesting information to you. I know that I find it interesting. And then lastly, we've got the combined income data, which sums up everything across all the different sheets, rolls them into one grand total that we can track across each individual month with an annual status tracker to see how we're doing for the year. So we are on the Bricklink sales data for January. We can see here that I sold a total of 13 different orders. I do also on the Bricklink one have the lots and items in each of those. And so the total lots over the month of January is 79 with an average lot count of 6. The total number of items that we moved was 451 parts out of the inventory for the month of January with an average of 35 parts per order overall. You can see up here that we do have as little of 1, which is typically a minifigure, and then as many as 227. So you get some pretty wide range of item lot orders. We can see over on the left, we've got our the date of the order transaction. I've got my order ID number, so I know what that's for. And the lowest or smallest order that I have is $8.24, with the highest order being $44.80. $2.07 for a total gross revenue for Bricklink of $234.36. Now, that does include tax, and I'm starting to track this so that when I get to the end of the year and I report my sales tax usage with the state of Michigan in this case, I know what all to claim as exempt from that because those taxes have already been remitted. In addition, I do end up tracking my PayPal fees and Bricklink fees, and I put coupon as a fee. A coupon is a special thing that I do for certain friends of the channel, family members, as well as people who have continued to be consistent ordering from our store. I make a point to offer coupons to those individuals so that I get them a little bit of a break for the support that they show to me and the channel. Now, we can see Bricklink fees, we had a total of $4.83, while the PayPal fees were up at $14.10. I did have one coupon utilized during there for $4.16, and the shipping cost is what I actually spent on shipping. So this is really coming out of that gross revenue, $46.05, for a net revenue of $148.51. So what that means, for those of you maybe not as savvy in some of the financial world, that is everything that I sold, all the money that came in for that, minus all the fees before it gets deposited in my account, right? So this is the payout portion to me, which is $148.51. I refer to that as net revenue because it's not profit. The difference being is that when these amounts are paid to me, they still haven't accounted for the cost of goods that I paid for them. And that's important when I go to file my taxes, and that's kind of why I restructured this to make tax time a little bit easier on me as well. And so what I have here is the cost of goods sold. Now for Bricklink, I use a formula and I attribute roughly half of my order total, not my total for the order, but the total of the components purchased. I use 50% of that to track my cost of goods sold, which gives me a net profit in this case for the month of January, which is everything done, said out the door, of $68.10. Hopefully you were able to follow along with that. If this is too much detail relative to the Bricklink one, please let me know in the comments below. But that's how we did for Bricklink over the month of January. Again, most people would look at net revenue as their income, $148.51, because that's what gets deposited to them. However, I like to just keep track of this net profit because the net profit at the end of the day is the amount of money that when I pay or report to the government for income purposes, that's the amount that's going to end up being taxed. And so I'm going to pay some percentage of tax on there, and then that's going to give me the overall, maybe this is even gross profit actually now that I'm thinking about it. Anyway, I don't want to get too far down in the weeds there. Let's move on and check to see how our Bricklink store did for January, or what the status was, I suppose. So we can see here, what I did is I rolled over the numbers from 2021, which I think was October is the last time I took a snapshot. And you can see that in October of 2021, basically I started this year off with something close to 104,838 new parts, 5,200 new lots, 3,282 used parts, and that is across 660 different used lots. Now, at the date that I was putting this information together, which was February 23rd, again, filmed about a week ago or so, this is the snapshot of the store. So for the month of, in essence, February, I suppose, we can see that I have 117,385 new parts with an additional 13,435 used parts, and that's across roughly a combined total. That's something I should put on here, the combined total of parts and combined total of lots. I will add that in for the next one. I did also track what my estimated sale value is, which is based on the current rates and all those parts. If I sold them, there is roughly $23,430 worth of parts available for sale right now. Now, I have set up a reminder, and it is my intention to grab the snapshots at the beginning of each month here, keeping in mind that when I grab March's data, it will actually be when I am also reporting February's information. So I'm always going to kind of be a month ahead on the snapshot, because in order to account for the financials for the previous month, I got to let that month end. Moving along, let's move over to Amazon. So we can see in Amazon, I had 3 different items sell during the month of January, which isn't too bad considering that I haven't done a shipment since I think it was October or November. These were some of the last remaining things in my Amazon warehouse store, in essence, that didn't sell during Q4. And so we can see I sold a couple Battle of Atlantis sets and a Lego City motorcycle set. Had a total gross revenue of $85.65. We paid some tax on that. We do have the breakdown between referral fees and FBA fees, $11.85 and $12.58 respectively. Sales price is just what I had it posted for, just for curiosity. You can see the numbers up here if you're interested. Net revenue for Amazon is $54.54. I had a total item cost for these things of $27, which gave me a net item profit of $27.54. One of those things I could do here would be to show my net ROI, which in this case would be roughly 100%, I think is the way you would word that, where I spent $27, invested it, and then after all the fees and everything were deducted, I made $27.54, which means I made 100% plus roughly profit on those items. I do also have the fee percentages over here for those of you that are curious. Feel free to peruse those. Now, moving on here, we're going to go over to eBay sales. And on eBay, I actually had a pretty good month. So I had a total of 9 items sell, most of which, if you can see here, we've got a lot of Hallmark ornaments. And I kind of suspected that would be the case. I moved a lot of Hallmark ornaments during November and December. January also ended up moving quite a few of them here. And that, I think, contributed to the fact that when people were taking their trees down, they noticed some ornaments that were likely broken and wanted to get those replaced. And so that's where I think a lot of these sales were coming from. I did have one refund that also I had to process during there because it was an electronic ornament that after the customer had received it, they had made statement that the electronics were not functioning in it. And so I just refunded them for that order. I don't want them to have any remorse over making a purchase for something that should have been in new working condition. So for eBay, over the month of January, $133.44 gross revenue. We paid taxes on that. We did have item fees in this case of $19.45, and that is because eBay manages all of the payment stuff now, so it doesn't have the eBay fee in addition to the PayPal fee, which is nice. For shipping, I ended up paying $41.49 to ship out all these items, giving me a net revenue of $63.78. And my item cost in this case was $17, giving me a net item profit of $46.78. So real quick, I threw this together here. This ended up calculating out to be a 275.18% ROI on the eBay items. And I think that's pretty common in terms of a lot of these garage sale, thrift store finds. You're going to get much higher profit margins on those, but they also move at a much slower, much different pace. However, that's why there are so many reselling and thrifting channels out there and people that are successful in this. If you build up enough inventory, inevitably you will sell a lot of items. And when you're making these kind of profit margins, it can end up making a very solid business foundation. Moving along now, we have other sales data, and you can see that I didn't sell anything on any other platforms not already reviewed, and so we don't have any information to talk about here. Moving forward, hopefully that changes. And lastly, I have the portion of the spreadsheet that sums all of that information up. And so you can see that I've broken it down, so we have a monthly basis going across the top, and I have the concatenated totals from all the previous sheets that roll up into this one. So we had a total gross revenue of the channel of $453.45. Total taxes paid, $32.11. Total shipping cost of $87.54. Total fees paid out across all the platforms of $66.97, giving me a total net revenue of $266.83. And that's the money that was paid out to me. However, I know that I had $124.41 associated with the cost of those goods that I sold, giving me a net profit, everything out the door, of $174.53, which across the month of January means that I made 140% ROI, net ROI, across all my different sales channels and venues as a whole. All right, folks, that is it for today's video. That was covering all of my financials. I don't have an expense side of it to state what I purchased during the month of January. Maybe I'll go back and try and keep something like that moving forward. It's going to take a little bit more work to track that because, as you are all aware, I spend a pretty crazy amount on Lego and have continued to grow this inventory. But you get to see most of that data through most of my other videos, a lot of the haul stuff. I hope you enjoyed this video and that this gives you an insight into my business. Again, my goal is to be extremely open and transparent with all of you about how I'm operating as a business and sharing this experience. I have a passion for all this stuff and enjoy it. I hope that you enjoy it as much as I do, or at least enjoy seeing someone else go through it. So anyway, thank you all so much for watching, and we will see you in the next video. Bye.